Welcome to this shortwave radio channel, and I already have a pretty good idea after several hours of use of the XHDATA D 219 portable receiver. This is a very inexpensive radio. Okay, this is $17 Canadian, and it's like $10, $12, $14 US. It's incredible what today you can get for these prices, with Chinese manufacturing. At first, it feels nice. It doesn't feel cheap, even though it's low priced. The finish of the plastic case and the way that it looks, it actually is nice. The controls feel, good. The tuning is firm. The buttons are pretty nice, actually. So this is definitely something really cool for the price. It's an AM FM multiband shortwave, so it covers the 60 meter band all the way up to the 13 meter band. And what's nice is that it covers it with a pretty wide range. So each band, you get everything. We talk about a lot of these radios that have a very narrow band on each of the international broadcast bands. So you miss out everything that's outside of the range. This one, you won't miss much. It's, in general, well thought out with, somebody knew that you got to put it large in order to not miss anything. It is a DSP-based analog style radio. What that means, analog style with a needle and the display. So it's kind of looks like a good old radio, but it is DSP based, so it's digital inside. It's a DSP chip, the silicon integrated chip that controls it. So it sounds like a DSP radio, not an analog radio. If you compare this to the Texan R9012, the Texan R9012 is actually an analog radio from A to Z. So that means that you're tuning an analog style radio. And we're going to compare actually both the R9012 and this in some videos. I think it's worth it because they're the same price roughly. So this was available on Amazon Canada for $17, 1 day shipping. And of course, it's that price. It was like, okay, I got to get one. And I heard a lot of people having fun with it and listening to shortwave. And I've got a few videos that I posted already, so you already have a little idea of how it is. But I've got pretty much my review here in this. I might have a subsequent video on it, but I think I've got a pretty good idea and pretty good grasp of what this is and how it performs. It is sensitive and will get most international broadcast stations as long as they are at a certain level. It's not a DX machine, meaning you're not going to get the really weak ones. And even if you would, it has one flaw, which is that weak signals, the up and down propagation of signals on shortwave, the DSP cutoff point, if you want, makes it that a signal kind of cuts off, comes back, cuts off, comes back. So when signals are weak, it's not really very good. But when signals are good, like if you get a lot of local, shortwave stations strong enough, it's actually really good to get those, and using just a telescopic. So it definitely is nice. And the videos I posted, I'm getting Spain, I'm getting Radio Nacional Amazonas, as you could see, just telescopic once again. So when the signals are there, it definitely works. It is sensitive on medium wave, but medium wave has one flaw, is that the bandwidth of this radio is very large. So any signals that are close together are difficult to pinpoint. So on shortwave, it isn't too big of a problem because most of the time, the shortwave stations are somewhat far apart today because there's less signals on the shortwave bands. So it kind of works most of the time. There was one case this afternoon when I was trying to get Voice of Turkey, which was difficult to get because it's really just 5 kilohertz next to the Radio Nacional Amazonas. It's kind of difficult to choose one over the other. That's like the more powerful one was kind of winning. So it is a little problem with that. This is a $17 radio. It has flaws because, of course, there's a lot of things that you can't implement, including, a better bandwidth control. They've put what was, possible, and it works in most cases. On the medium wave band, you're going to have a hard time because even though it's sensitive enough to get far away stations, it is difficult to get stations because of that wide bandwidth effect. So if you have 3 or 4 stations close together, you're going to have a hard time separating them. And usually the strongest one wins. So this is something to note. But it's the price for the price that it is, it's okay. FM is okay, nothing exceptional. I'm not getting my standard stations 100 kilometers away like VPS in Burlington, Vermont, on 107.9. So it's not the best on FM, but it receives the local stations very well. One of the flaws it has on shortwave is FM breakthrough. If you live here, radios have a hard time with FM breakthrough, and radios like even the CNG and ATS 909X2 has a very hard time coping with that here. And we're talking of a $200+ radio. So a $17 radio doesn't have a lot of front end in it, and it shows. If you live in a big city with a lot of FM stations, you're going to have a hard time getting shortwave. A lot of the bands are really kind of blown away by the FM breakthrough. So like 49-meter band is an example. It's very difficult. I have to play with the radio and position it in places where the FM breakthrough kind of is lower, because I have a few spots in the house where they kind of tend to be weaker, so they kind of have a less of a problem. So this is a major issue on this radio. It's a major issue on pretty much every radio that is not very expensive because, once again, it doesn't have all the required circuit to filter at the FM breakthrough. If you live in a rural area, I would tend to think that this is probably pretty good, and you won't have FM breakthrough, and you're probably going to have a good time with this radio. I put it in the perspective of the price that it's sold for. It is decent. I mean, I was surprised to get Spain so strong. I was getting Romania on 11620. I was getting a few other stations. I'm waiting for better propagation because tonight was not the best night to post a few more videos of stations I'm going to listen to on it. It does have a power adapter on the top. It's kind of weird to put it on the top. But there's a power adapter connector on the top of this. You can put earbuds in here. They're not included. Stereo audio for FM with the earbuds if you plug them in. And, of course, on-off switch. And you got the tuning button. You got the volume control. Simple, not complicated. For $17, you know what? You get something that's kind of nice. It's going to be fun to play with. And if you're not in a big city with FM breakthrough, you're definitely going to get some stations on this. It's sensitive enough to do so. One thing that a lot of you will like is the fact that it actually works on standard AA batteries. So you don't have to have those funky lithium-ion batteries. It works fine. Little ad that's kind of cute. You've got a little power LED that tells you the radio's on or off. It's not a tuning LED. Some radios have that. This is really an on-off LED just for the power. If what I would say is that if you're looking for something cheap to play with, something just for the fun of it, for the price, I think you're going to have fun. It does receive. Like I said, it's not a DX machine. I've noted that on the telescopic antenna, when signals are strong, you have a faint background noise that I can detect that seems to be a little bit of overload. I know that I've read a few people saying that they put an external antenna on it, and it just doesn't work. I don't think this thing can cope with big antennas and very strong signals. So yes, this will be really to use just with the telescopic. Audio quality, not too bad, strong enough. Nothing fancy, but good. You know, for what it is, it's good, and it works. So the rest is, of course, you've got a very very small display here on the frequencies that you're going to choose. So you know, finding your station is like the good old days of analog. It's not super precise and it's not super easy, but you know, you tune in slowly. Because the bandwidth's a little large, tune up and down a little bit to kind of center it as much as possible. You'll see there's a kind of a little wobble you can play, you know, up and down a little bit before you kind of notice, well, I think it's better here. These are part of, you know, a reason why this radio isn't very expensive. It has these flaws which are technically normal for the price. Remember that this review is also representative of what you get for the money you pay. I always do my reviews like that. That's why I'm hard on some more expensive radios, because if they're not good, I'll be harder on a $400 radio that has so many flaws than I'll be on a $17 radio that technically should have some flaws due to its technical, you know, simplicity, if we can say it. But I'm pleasantly surprised, and I think it probably does compare well. We talked a lot about the Texan R9012. It's been one of the low-end radios that I come back regularly saying, you know what, it's decent for what it is. Once again, not a DX machine. I think this is also in that category. It's decent for what it is. And more videos are going to come in the next few days. Well, you'll see stations that I listen to. And probably a few tuning and compare videos. I'll be tuning signals on this one. And the R9012 will be comparing how it goes. So that was my quick review of the XHDATA D219. Decent, cheap, but with its flaws because it's cheap. If you can cope with that, it's fun to play with. And it's, you know, fairly nice. Like I said, it's not cheap looking. It actually is decent in the feel and the look. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe. Give us thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys.